This is the basic problem for the Quidio. It says the drug AZT was the first drug that seemed effective in delaying the onset of AIDS. Evidence for the AZT's effectiveness came from a large randomized comparative experiment. The subjects were 1,300 volunteers who were infected with HIV, the viral that causes AIDS, but did not yet have AIDS. The study assigned 435 of the subjects at random to take 500 milliliters of AZT each day, and another 435 to take a placebo. The others were assigned to a third treatment, a higher dosage of AZT. We will compare only two groups. At the end of the study, 38 placebo subjects and 17 of the AZT subjects had developed AIDS. We can't to test the claim that taking AZT lowers the proportion of infected people who develop AIDS in a given time period. So A says state and check how you state hypotheses and check that you can safely use the Z procedure. So what I did was I put my proportions as proportion 1 or P1 and P2. And the first proportion was the proportion of subjects that took the AZT drug. And proportion 2 was the proportion of subjects that took the placebo drug. And then for A, it wants to know the hypotheses. So for my null hypothesis, I put P1 is equal to P2. And for my alternative hypothesis, I have P1 is less than P2. And also, in order to make sure that we can safely use the Z procedure, that means we want to check our assumptions. And our assumptions are that is a random sample. They are independent of each other, and N1 and P1 is greater than 10, N1 and Q1 are greater than 10, N2 and P2 are greater than 10, and N2 and Q2 are greater than 10. B wants to know how significant is the evidence that the AZT drug is effective. So with this, I use a 2-proportion Z-test, and the equation, which I had gotten from my equation sheet that says whenever we use a 2-proportion Z-test, this is the equation that we use. It says Z equals P1 minus P2 divided by the square root of P1 Q1 divided by N1 plus P2 Q2 divided by N2. So I have that written out right there. And then I plugged in my numbers that I had gotten for that answer, and I got negative 2.926. And then going on our Z table, we get that negative 2.926 is equal to 0.0017. Part C asks, we aren't done with part B, so it wants to know how significant is the evidence. So we continue with our alpha value of 0.05 and our p value of 0.0017. And we can say that we reject our null hypothesis based on our p value of 0.0017, which is less than our alpha value of 0.05. In context, that there is a significant evidence that the drug AZT lowers the proportion of infected people who develop AIDS in a given time period. Part C says the experiment was double-blinded, and it wants us to explain what this means. Double-blinded means that neither the subject nor the researcher know whether they are getting/giving the drug or placebo. This reduces bias and confounding variables within the test.